My friends, we need to have a serious talk. We need to discuss those habits of ours. You know, the ones that are keeping us trapped in anxious cycles, the ones that are keeping us locked in unhappiness and in fear. We need to talk about the conditions that we have put in place that are keeping us in bondage. Since our focus this month is on quitting alcohol and other reality-altering substances, that is what we are going to address today. As long as we justify our continued avoidance of reality by using these substances, we are going to remain imprisoned. As long as we continue to believe the lies about what these substances promise us, we will remain enslaved to them. Today, we're going to delve into the wisdom of the past that's going to help us rise above the fog and deception of avoidance by applying this wisdom, specifically today from Seneca. We can navigate those moments when we feel tempted to escape life. You know, we can no longer afford to be unaware. It's time to awaken, and it's time to be clear-headed, and it's time to build a life filled with engagement and hope and promise, and to create a life that's rooted in and from wisdom. If you're new here, I'm Jess, and this is Living Free, where we embrace a sober spiritual approach to liberation and life. So please settle in as we have an open and honest conversation today. So have you ever experienced those moments? Perhaps maybe you were in a peaceful setting, maybe in nature, maybe you were observing and appreciating, the majestic beauty of creation. And maybe in that moment, just for an instant, you caught a glimpse of clarity, where you could imagine the possibility of changing the course of your life in an instant. Maybe it felt like a nudge from somewhere unseen, and it suggested that things could be completely new, that they could be different, and that you could be free. It was like a vision of yourself, free from all the cravings and all of the regrets. It was like a glimpse, just for an instant, into hope and possibility. But later that day, you lose that glimpse because you fall back into avoidance. You return to the substance that is destroying you. That glimmer of hope that you had in that instant, well, now it feels distant. And what it showed you, it feels impossible. Have you not yet seen the correlation between the substance use and your misery? It's like the definition of insanity, where we're doing the same thing over and over and over again, thinking each time that we're going to get a different result than, well, what we always get, right? Things will only change when you change. Now, the life that we get to live experiences the most convenience the world has ever known. Whatever we crave in the moment, well, we can have it. Whatever we believe is going to bring enjoyment or satisfy that craving is available with a click. At a cost, of course, but not just a financial cost, but at the cost of our mental and our physical health. Our entire lives have been spent in ignorance of the harm that we inflict upon ourselves. We move from one pleasure to the next without pause. Never satisfied, never finished. And maybe there is that nagging feeling somewhere in the background. Maybe there is that little small voice warning us, but we choose to ignore it. Seneca said, "If you seek pleasure in every direction and of every kind, then be aware that you are as far removed from wisdom as you are from joy." This continual pursuit to satisfy every craving only leads us further away from freedom, and it leads us further away from what is true and original within us. You know, friends, our true nature is not in bondage to the world that we have created for ourselves. Just one more time, one more drink, one more hit. The allure of a good time, one more night of escape, right? It continues to lure us into the oblivion and ignorance. The deception of the buzz, of the high, has us in its claws. But this short-lived pleasure comes with a price tag. It always does. It's a price tag that we can't afford. The wisdom of old describes it like this: all of them are deceived by the specious and short-lived enticements, like drunkenness, that pays for a single hour's cheery insanity with a long-lasting hangover that costs you great anxiety both to obtain and to retain. So we will never receive what the substance promised us. There is no lasting joy in it. There is no lasting relief. There's only regret. There's only a damaged spirit. There's only a damaged mind and body. So we must cast off the vice that destroys. It destroys our hope of getting what we truly want. What awaits us, if only? The well-being and the clarity of mind that lie just beyond the veil of delusion. I know it doesn't feel like delusion. I know it feels solid. I know it feels real because of all the emotions, the feelings, and the narratives that we experience around it, right? When the effects of our preferred substance wear off, what are we left with? We are left with anxious feelings. We're left with regret, and we're left with fear about how we squandered our life, our time, our finances, of how we have hurt ourselves and others. And these issues become exponentially worse the more that we follow this destructive path. And because we live on the shallow surface of our emotional world, this is really the only reality that we recognize. And even if something beckons and calls to us from deeper within, we often ignore it. We might even fear it. Our addiction to our vices keeps us on the surface. None of us goes into any depth, said Seneca. This superficial world of distraction, of scrolling, of consumerism, or whatever quick fix that we can find, it allows us to keep avoiding the deeper truths about life, about what it truly means to be human. We do whatever we can to remain in this sort of cloud of ignorance, and we avoid confronting the true and original nature of ourselves and of life. So the wisdom of the ancients reminds us that truth is found by looking inward. It involves directing our awareness to our core, internalizing rather than externalizing into this world of illusion that has been created by a lost mind. The practices of Zen teach us to recognize what's happening within ourselves and how we have become identified with and attached to the world of form. Our body and mind represent like the first layer of form that we identify with and as. And it's from here which all of our other attachments arise. And this is how we shape our experience of the world. Now, when we realize that we are the ones who created this, we can also discover how to undo it. There is absolutely nothing outside of us that create our experience of the world. There is only one being that creates this experience, only one, and that is you. As long as we are attached to the out there world, we can't really see this. We remain stuck and we just keep chasing the pleasures and all the fixes, right? We never find that true joy. We never discover undividedness. We never become whole. We never uncover this innate wisdom of which, as Seneca said, the result of this wisdom is steadiness of joy. Not fleeting, it's not counterfeit, but it's true well-being and joy. And the problem that many of us encounter and seem to battle with for years is our rationalizing mind. We desire our peace and well-being, but, well, we also crave the pleasure of our vices. We want both, but we can't have both. So we attempt to balance and we attempt to moderate. Just one drink, just one more drink, one more hit. Yet Seneca warns us again, foolishness has no safety zone. Is it truly worth gambling our well-being in this way? You know, our rationalizing mind insists, oh, well, you can handle it just one more time, just this once. After all, you deserve to unwind a little bit. You deserve to have some fun. Again, foolishness has no safety zone. This is the prison of our vices. As long as we let them stay in our lives, they keep control over us. Without strong boundaries, we remain bound. Is that really what you want? I would argue that no, you don't. That is not what you want, is it? You are here with me today for a reason. Now, if I have sounded harsh up until this point, I don't apologize. I'm not being harsh. I'm being truthful. And the truth often is not gentle. And I know from my own experience with addiction that until I was really blunt with myself, I couldn't surrender to the truth. And it's from that surrender that came the strength and the self-compassion that was necessary to finally overcome my addiction to alcohol, from which I have been free for almost 11 years. We are not weak, nor are we incapable. We are so much stronger than we think. Now, our limitations, they only exist in our minds. A limitation or a fixed mindset, it just needs to be flipped to become a growth mindset. And it's with this new growth mindset that we can approach our goals more strategically. Our strategy is going to focus on investing in our future and in our freedom and in our health. We invest our minds, we invest our time, we invest all of our actions into a sober life. And when we don't do this, we expend but little effort on such a great endeavor. How can one learn an amount sufficient to combat his vices if he learns only in the spare time left over from cultivating those vices? My friends, we can't afford to be lukewarm. So yes, this is a big endeavor that must be taken seriously. It's a full-time commitment. It's not part-time. It's not some of the time. This is our new purpose. We are determined to reach the deepest parts of ourselves. And when this happens within us, it becomes that turning point that you had a brief glimpse of, but then you lost it. This is when life suddenly changes course. We are now wholly committed with our hearts and with our minds. We're committed to learning a new way of living, of acquiring new life skills, resolving our confusion, and cultivating self-understanding in order to build resilience. All of this leads to an experience of life that's our birthright. It is not validated by the outside world, but on what is discovered in the true and original you. This is where true joy abounds. So the new year is coming. It's approaching us pretty quickly. And I wish you all the best. May you aspire to be authentic and true to yourself. May you decide to uphold your values and align your life with them. Embrace sobriety and be willing to go beneath the surface of illusion. This illusion that's made of empty promises and deception. May you forsake the shallow and the destructive pleasures and instead turn inward and cultivate the seed of potential and the seed of growth. Seek what is real and true, the substance of hope and promise. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope that somebody out there was uplifted by this message. Support this work if you want. It's free to do so, and it really does help us get the message out. Comment below and share your thoughts. I always enjoy reading those comments. Share your insights. Share some encouragement for others. I'm wishing everybody a happy holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you next time.